What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Nightmares Podcast, where we talk about all things horror and we interview amazing people from the horror community. That's a new format. That's exactly what we're doing. We talk about all things movies, music, television, comic books, music, and in this case, tasty treats. We are very excited for our guests here today. I will let them introduce them, both of themselves. We met at the last con. They were good friends of James Azera, who we've had on the podcast several times. We're very excited to have them. Both of you go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I am Chris Szydlowski.
And I am Lola Forbes. And we are chefs and co-owners of Spooky Swirls.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it. I know that you literally just finished an entire day's worth of work and then jumped right on the podcast with us. So I seriously, that I know how difficult that could be to just, you want to, at the end of the day, you want to decompress, you want to, go ahead and try to breathe, but you just jumped right into a podcast, which we both...
You get to do that with us.
I know, right?
Always time for cupcakes.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. So
I wish we had cupcakes here.
Right?
I know. We do have. By the way, we do have your waffle mix, the upstairs, and Zach.
Oh,
yes,
nice.
Yeah, we do have your waffle mix. I am actually going to make it tomorrow, because I didn't have any eggs in the house. So
you better be hungry.
Oh, absolutely. And then Zach actually has your coffee.
Yep.
I've been drinking your coffee all week. It is amazing. Thank you.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
It keeps me up at work, and I really love it. It also makes the room smell so nice too. It's really refreshing.
Yeah,
So both of you obviously new to the podcast. So what we often do is we open up into the conversation. But one of my favorite questions that usually kicks this off is how did you start within your a wonderful profession and passion for life, and then also too is when did horror enter your life, and how did those two worlds kind of converge? Because we've had a lot of really interesting guests, but we have never had anybody on that was actually a culinary expert and a horror culinary expert at that. So so this is a very unique first time on the Nightmares Podcast where we had individuals such as yourselves on. So we were very excited. So we want to hear your stories about how you got into this, and then how horror first touched your life, and then kind of how those worlds collided.
Oh, well, I guess I'll start out. I've loved horror ever since I can remember. I grew up. My mom loved horror movies, so she's pretty much the reason I am the way I am, I guess. She started me out with Creature Feature and Son of Svengoolie when I was a kid living in Chicago. Grew up watching him. And that just is how my love for horror developed. It kind of has been a lifelong thing. I used to sketch and draw monsters when I was a kid. I just loved creepy things and monsters and monster movies in particular, which led then to when I found out that I could own a piece of the movies that I loved. My life kind of changed. I started collecting props and wardrobe. I want to say that was 26 years-ish ago. I was about 4.
You're a little baby.
That was adorable. Thank you. Fantastic.
So, I thought that I was going to be an illustrator. I wanted to work in movies, do special effects, do something artistic, creative, and that didn't really pan out. I worked in an art gallery and kind of saw the realities of what it was like to be an artist, and I guess that really turned me off. I didn't think that was going to be my path. So I wanted to still be creative. And one day I just happened to be watching Food Network, and I saw them creating incredible pastries and doing, art with, just a different medium. So that started me on my career, my culinary career, I guess. I started out, I just found a bakery and started out washing dishes in Texas, and just teach me. I want to learn everything. I want to learn all of it. And I was able to work under a number of incredibly talented chefs, and just kind of hone my abilities, and learn something everywhere that I went. And had the dream of someday opening a bakery of my own. We actually had started Spookies as a food truck.
As a home business.
Well, home business first.
They all
and then
start that way.
moved on to a food truck, which
Was hot. That was hot.
Yeah, having a little like motorized oven encased in like a tin can out in Arizona, summer baking, probably not the best idea, but
Well,
it was a start.
Great idea.
Oh.
It's a great idea.
However, it's a great idea. In practice, not so much. So
It's also a heat stroke or two. But
there was that.
Yeah, I have a deep.
But we outgrew the home kitchen. We outgrew the food truck, and we're about to outgrow this place.
Wow! Congratulations. They have a deep respect for everybody who hangs out in those hot kitchens. Zach and I are both fans of the original Kuma's Corner in Chicago. Fantastic burgers. They all named them after metal bands, and literally, I think the kitchen's the size of this table, and they're just sitting there, dying in this kitchen. Remember, I sat next to the kitchen in the bar, and I'm like, I'm standing here and I'm dying. Like, what's going on in there with you right now? So I have a deep respect for a lot of chefs such as yourselves that just die in kitchens every day to make us awesome things. So it's much appreciated.
Oh.
So how about you?
You guys are worth it.
Well, thank you. So how about you, Lola? How does this all fit in for you as well? This crazy adventure of horror and and cooking.
Horror came into my life when Chris Szydlowsk came into my life. She's spooky. I mean, she's
Put a spell on her.
She's the OG spooky.
Nice.
Same thing. I've been baking since I was little. I love it. You do it because you love it. It's hot. It's hard work. It's very not lucrative sometimes. You do it because you love it. And I think both of us just love it so much we can't stop. It's like in our blood. Like, we wake up in the morning and we want to have flour and sugar and butter flying through the air and chocolate chips in our hair. And at the end of the day, when we get to see people eat what we make, there's this connection, and we are family now. If I have fed you, you are family with me now.
That's fantastic. I have an Italian background, so that's kind of like I think that's written on a stone tablet somewhere in the mother country of we feed you, you're part of the crew. Which is I love when we you have people that are passions, and and I love when people combine things that wouldn't normally be combined, but it makes a lot of sense about why they would be combined. So which is really, really cool. To be different. To be to have something different to offer. Speaking of different, so how did the whole gluten free thing kind of morph into this? Because you kind of have a specific niche, and then you're adding an additional specific niche on top of it. So
we are a niche,
sub niche.
Yeah, we are a niche wrapped up inside of a niche. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the same way that she brought horror to me, I think in a way I kind of brought gluten free to her, and we both realized there's like this big empty hole in the market of people who can't get food that tastes good. And I'm kind of a science nerd. I love science and I love math. And those things are definitely required for baking, but even more so with gluten-free baking. It's really sciencey and it's really tough to get right. And I think that both of us like a challenge. We both like pushing each other, both like trying to see how much we can get out of the other one, you know, like we're both better, I think, for working with each other. And there definitely was a big old hole. And so we've been making some good stuff, Szydlowski.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from Chicago, so I'm used to good food. I mean, I
Yeah, we have a little bit of it.
yeah. Moving to Arizona, there are no ethnic bakeries out here. Like my dad is Polish, so I grew up going to the Polish deli and the Polish bakeries where we could get kolachkis and just punchkis, all of that. My mother is Hispanic, so on that end too, we had the Mexican bakeries and the Cuban bakeries and the Colombian, so moving to Arizona was a rude awakening, and we even more so as far as gluten-free baked goods. You could kind of get what they sold in the grocery stores that were frozen items, not really the greatest quality. So we, took our knowledge and really
We decided to do it so good it's scary.
The is that what it says on the marquee out front?
Yeah,
it's
that's
so,
our tagline.
I love it. I love it. So you have such a wonderful passion for this, and I love it's been since we restarted the podcast, we've been getting a lot more philosophical and talking about all this great stuff. What has been some of the most rewarding experiences for you doing something that is very niche? Maybe if you want to let me know if there's something, a fun story that was very rewarding on the horror side, and maybe if there was something rewarding on the baking side and the gluten-free side that was rewarding, because you're obviously entering a market where that isn't common. Maybe either one of those things are common. So I'm curious, what the response has been, and in your area, and maybe some positive, fun stories that you might have.
I'll take the cooking one first so she can have a minute to think about the horror one, because she's going to need a minute to think about a good one.
Absolutely.
So I'll talk. I'll stall. I got you.
I'm good.
I think with the food, the obvious one is when you make something and you get to see somebody else eat it, and then you could tell in their eyes, we have a connection now. And I think the biggest one that happens is with children. When kids come into our store, they are wide-eyed and surprised and delighted. The kids are the really fun ones. The gluten-free kids who don't get birthday cakes, and now they have the coolest birthday cake from Spooky Swirls. With kids, getting them to walk around the store and enjoy the space covered in frosting, knowing they can eat anything in this store and they're safe and it's delicious and it's fun. And literally today I made gluten-free Cheez-Its, which if you're not gluten-free, you don't know, it is very hard to get gluten-free Cheez-Its. Yeah. So I made a batch, we sampled some of them, and I sampled them to a customer, and she was like, oh my gosh, Lola, anything.
She had tears in her eyes when she ate this Cheez-It.
Literally comes back 10 minutes later with her sister to shake me down for any Cheez-Its left in this whole store.
Wow.
That's and it's so cool too, because both of you now are introducing, by the way, through the art of cooking and baking and giving so much joy. And the tail end, which is interesting, is you're introducing a whole new generation of horror. Because they're going to remember that they had a positive experience at this cool bakery, and then they're going to start asking questions about all the cool stuff that's in the background, and it's going to start the cycle all over again. With getting them interested in in
Oh,
horror
yeah.
and everything else. So which is awesome. You're doing the good horror community's work right here. I appreciate that. They
Yeah. The
they
little kids around here want to go to Spooky Swirls and get the cupcake with the bleeding skull eyes. They're ready for it.
Zach's very excited about that. They
You don't know how much I wish you were in Chicago, because I ever since James's podcast, he told us about it. Like, it was back in like late 2019, and I follow the Facebook page and I see all this cool stuff you guys post. I'm like, that looks delicious. That's a Jason Voorhees cupcake. That looks awesome. I want it, but it's in Arizona.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, the my stepmom actually made him a Jason cake out of fondant when for one of his birthdays, and I think he's been literally talking about that ever since. So you're tantalizing him even more with these the baked goods of a horror persuasion. So
I was also born on June 13th, so me and Jason kind of have a connection.
Friday the 13th of
Oh,
June 13th.
wow.
They went when it actually happened. They so I mean it's some hardcore connection there. So how about for you, Chris? The with the horror aspect of this, how's the response been, and maybe you have any cool stories with that side of the coin?
I do. I got one that really kind of hit me and made me sort of realize like the impact of some of what we're doing. It has to do with my little chestburster that I have here on display right now.
Nice.
I did not have him on display at the time, but there was a customer that had come in, a woman looking for a cake for her daughter. Her daughter is gluten-free and is on the spectrum. So they were wanting to have a little party for her. And the one thing that her daughter wanted was something with a chestburster. And when she told me that, I was just like, oh my God, like I was this little girl, I was the kid that wanted like the chestburster. I've always loved, like, Alien was that movie that I will never forget where I was when I watched it for the first time. I was way too young, and it terrified me, of course. And I've always loved the xenomorphs, loved the chestburster from that scene. And so what we ended up doing, I was able to sculpt a chestburster for her, and it was out of fondant and Rice Krispie treats. So it
was almost life size.
Really,
Wow.
kind of looked like the actual chestburster, and we had it bursting out of a cake, and
So much blood.
it was bloody and gory, exactly what this little girl wanted. And when they brought her in here, they brought her her whole party
With like 8 other little 10-year-old girls.
came in here with a bunch of kids. And when I presented the cake to her, her eyes, she just kind of lost it. And what I had done, I actually brought the chestburster prop in for her to see it. And after that, I mean, she just, I can't even describe to you how excited she was. And all the kids, and we let all the kids like see the chestburster up close, and a couple of them wanted to touch it. And so it was I would have to say the chestburster birthday really got me pretty emotional.
It was about 3 years ago, and we still get asked to make that cake again.
That's unbelievable. Like we talk about this all the time. Like, there's something just very special about the horror community. I've actually found that they are and it's so ironic too, because you're talking about a genre.
It is
a genre of and it must be very interesting for you, Lola, who kind of just stepped into this pseudo recently. So and finding out that there's this whole world of crazy people that love horror movies, and they're some of the nicest people in the world, and welcoming and friendly,
Yes.
and you go
And
Yes.
loyal and supportive and
so it is so I imagine that it's kind of cool that that you've been embraced by that. So I mean, what's you just mentioned too, and of course you don't have to share it if you don't want to, but you're already saying that you're going to be outgrowing the place that you're in right now. What's the future? Are you going to start opening up multiple locations, or is that a little bit too much to handle right now? Or the
Open a business in Chicago.
open a business in Chicago or at any other state that might be in the or anything you want to share or not yet?
really cool offers over the years.
Yeah,
The first one was Ripley's. Do you remember that a million years ago?
Yeah, there was yeah.
For a minute, there was talk about Ripley's, believe it or not, wanted to have a spooky Swirls in their like basement location. We have talked about 2 or 3 of them here. It's really like, where do we want to go?
Chicago is home, and 2 of our other our co-owners are in Chicago. My family is still in Chicago. Lola's family is not far. They're up in Indiana. So
If you guys can just work on that wind and snow, we are there.
There's
sadly nothing we can do about that.
102 here today.
I
will take your weather. I want 102. That sounds so nice. Just cook me. I don't care. I hate the cold. Why do I live here?
Sunday, every day.
yeah, there's quite a bit of sun. But yeah, like we'd said, we're quickly outgrowing this. This was kind of I don't know if you know, we're in kind of like a strip mall. We're next to a big record store that was kind of like a Wax Trax, or like it's like a big chain out here called Zia Records. So we've got them right next to us. It's really kind of an eclectic area, so it's nice.
Across the street is another horror, like a shop of wonders, novelties, marketplace of horror type place.
Kind of like like an antiques bazaar where they kind of sell out different like booths and stuff. We've got an all horror one that's just recently moved in, based on us being here. So we're kind of like in the horror, if you will.
Yeah.
Nice.
But we basically converted our kitchen, and we are outgrowing. We've already outgrown this one. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. I don't know what the future is going to hold. We've got about 2 more years on our lease here, and we would. We've discussed it with the guys, and we don't know if the plan is to stay in Arizona and grow, if it's to kind of set up shop in Chicago, or
Not sure where we'll be, but we'll be baking.
Well, that's always good.
Honestly, as long as you're still going somewhere in the world, that's all that matters.
Yeah,
we'll find you.
Yeah, we'll find you. Don't worry about it. I like baked goods that much. I definitely wanted to talk about because I think both of you had some interesting things in your careers that I wouldn't want to miss out on. I know that Lola was recently on the Food Network. We are allowed to say that, right? Like, I know has the embargo been lifted?
You are allowed to say that. Yeah.
So I wasn't sure.
Very minimal things that can be said.
So then that's awesome. Have you ever had to do something like that where you had to tell a story? In your career where you had to come up with something on the spot to tell a story rather than I imagine that every baked good you do is a story of some kind. I was
gonna say that's kind kind of our thing. Most of the baked goods have a horror twist of a name. Most of them have a good pun. We love puns around here.
Pop culture and
Mhm.
all of that good stuff.
And
So,
I think that part of it, people relating to their food, like, we live in a really interesting time where it's not just, you sit at a cafeteria and there's a sandwich in front of you, or, like, you want to be involved with the people who make your food. You want to see them on TV. You want to know the crazy ingredients that went in it. You want to know why what you're eating is special. People have this really different connection to food than we used to have.
and you want to photograph it and put it on your social media all over the place.
You want everybody else to know how
everyone to see.
cool the food you ate was. And I think that storytelling is a really crucial part of a visual aid. You have your story and you have what you can see, and when the two things come together and then you can taste it,
Yeah.
we're like hitting everybody's senses around here, like, you laugh a little bit and you eat a little bit and you're going to see some really cool things, and it's really cool to get to share that with people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually something that you just said really struck me there for a second about the storytelling aspect, and obviously having a lot of puns, pop culture references, which I love. Like, I speak in pop culture references all the time. It's just my native tongue. And obviously Chris went into a lot of her experiences of growing up and being creative and everything else, and doing storytelling. For you, Lola, you said you're a little bit more mathematical, but it sounds like you've had a storytelling, streak on you, and probably grew up with that. How did that come into your life, of that kind of creativity of, because baking is very finite and very mathematical. That's
Yeah.
actually why I don't like to do it. I love to cook, but baking is a very big challenge for me because
It's different.
you can't like, cooking's like, like, I can add a little of this, add a little of that, and baking's not that. Baking
Right.
is very finite.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very curious, how storytelling and creativeness kind of came into your life, because it sounds like it's always been there, or it's at least been refined over the years. So I'm very curious how that came into being.
I'm a little bit of a talker. You've noticed I'm a little chatty. Anybody that comes into the bakery is really running a risk of having to get stuck with me for 10 minutes, because I like to tell stories. I think it comes from my grandma Forbes. She's like the matriarch of the whole town, kind of taking care of everybody and knows everybody's stories also. So I'm keeping up with everybody's stories. But I have a lot of hobbies. I love math. I love science. I play guitar. I write also. And so I am actually telling stories when I play guitar and, that kind of thing. And I want to write a series of children's books one day with a little bit of a spooky twist.
Nice.
I think it's just part of being creative. If you're just a creative person, it bleeds into everything you do. And being around somebody like Chris, who's like, she wakes up singing and dancing, like, she literally does. She's ready to like go get the day. And I'm just trying to keep up with her. And I think that we just like to tell each other's stories, and we know each other's stories, and she has some really cool ones. And if she doesn't come out and talk enough, I'm going to make sure that I tell her stories. I will do that. Whether you like it or not.
I believe that, and Zach knows what that's like with me. I
don't know if you noticed, but sometimes he doesn't know how to shut up and let other people talk.
No,
I apologize for that, by the way.
Not at all. I have a very inquisitive mind. I think that's what makes this whole thing work out with podcasting. So
Yeah.
no, that's really awesome. That's awesome about the creativity and the storytelling. What are some of your favorite puns and and stories with some of the goods you currently have in the bakery, stuff that you've done in the past?
One that comes to mind really quickly, make scones. So I made a rosemary baby scone.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a good one. Well, we've got a lot of cream cheese frosting. That is scream cheese frosting.
Respect.
I'm getting ready to make some fruit leathers, like some pumpkin pie fruit leathers, but they're going to be pumpkin leather face, because pumpkin fruit leather faces. Ooh, okay, but Rice Krispie treats in the shape of a knife with blood serial killers.
Genius.
Yeah, that I respect that's much respect on that.
Absolutely.
Zach and I are both like, yep.
Yep.
You know,
Nailed it.
and that's the thing too. Like, I gotta tell you about a phenomenon, and I want to hear both of your takes on this. This is a personal experience with artist driven food. I want to eat it, but I have this like almost like hesitation and anxiety of doing that because I feel like I'm gonna fuck up art. The like you know like you did such a you worked so hard on it. You work so hard and it's this beautiful thing and I'm like I don't want to eat it. It's really pretty. Like and I know we all took 1,000 photos of it, but like. You know, I wanted to get your take on that because I always wanted to talk to somebody that does like, you know, artist oriented foods and everything else and talk about that hesitation of eating something that you know that took so many hours. But from what you just said, you love that, you know, that part of it.
Oh, it's cathartic. Having been an illustrator artist, I used to have a real problem sharing my work, parting with my work. It was so personal to me. But having something that is only going to have a short lifespan, I guess, something that's going to deteriorate, it's helped me to be able to, you know, part with that, to like have that detachment now. I don't know if detachment is the right word, but to be able to, you know, want people to take and destroy something that you've created. It's I want to say it's pretty therapeutic and for me be able to disconnect in that way and still love what I'm creating, but do it in a way that I can share it with someone and they can enjoy it as well. And then it's going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So there's
Life is fast. Eat it now.
I was gonna say it may look however you make it look. It's food. It is meant to be eaten. I would love to have that Chestburster cake. That sounds so amazing.
You want to see a full grown man?
Have you guys seen pictures of it?
No.
No, if you could send us that'd be awesome.
They're on it somewhere.
Yeah. You want to see a full-grown man act like a child? Do that for him. He like that. Look at that, like that. That is exactly what you were saying.
We've seen
it. I bet you have.
It's fantastic.
I have no doubt.
And by the way, you owe your
regularly have 6-foot men here, just like they're 6-year-olds. They
down in a cupcake. And
I'm sorry.
I came out here a couple days ago and somebody was like, I'm standing 3 feet away from Keanu Reeves t-shirt. And I was like, oh my God, they're getting into it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Your reenactment, Chris, of somebody eating a cupcake was fantastic. By the way, it's just
that was on our Instagram a couple days ago, wasn't it?
You look like me the first time I smoked weed and ate a muffin. It literally looked like a zombie and everything else. Like it took to the hit was silent for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, I want a muffin.
A muffin.
And then literally, I went into a Starbucks with a friend who had friends that worked there, and like I literally ate it like a zombie eats a brain, and like crumbs were going everywhere, and he's like, "Did we lose him? Did we lose you?"
Oh, I think we did. Oh no!
No, we're back.
Best muffin ever.
Oh, it was the best. It was fantastic. And he's like, and I remember my friend, like, I was making a mess, and my friend was like, "Dude, I know people who work here. Stop it."
That's awesome.
By the way, you owe your real estate agent a Christmas gift, man, to put you in the spot that they put you in next to all the horror different shops and everything else. They found like the perfect real estate is location, and man, do they find you a location to be around. So I hope they send you a Christmas card, and I hope you send them back one. Is there anything that you wanted to add to about the Food Network? With your experience on there, or any of the past stories that you've had. I think if I'm not mistaken, I read in the little bio that we were sent over that you had done stuff with them before, or was this the first time?
No, this is my first time on Food Network. Is my little 18-year-old dream, and I went and made it come true.
So Chris, so I know that you were on No Reservation back in the day, or at least from what I read. I was wondering if you can share. Of course, there's plenty of stories to talk about the host. I've heard dozens and dozens, good, bad, in between. So and you can only account for your experience. So I was very curious if you'd like to share your adventure with No Reservations. We'll call it an adventure. Because it could go either way. Adventures could be good. Adventures could be bad.
So my experience on No Reservations, and I will preface this by saying, if you blink, you will probably miss me. However, I was working at a family bakery in New Jersey. This was an Italian bakery, and we had Anthony Bourdain and Mario Vitali come in for the day. They were going to do a little segment there, and they ended up doing the Godfather scene with the get the cannoli, the cannoli.
Naturally.
So they did show the making of the cannolis in the store, and my experience with both of the chefs was very brief, and they were as nice as can be. It was interesting because at the time everybody kind of flocked to Mario because his show Malto Mario had been on, and he was opening up new restaurants in the area. So if you can believe it, he was like the star at the time. So I do have a picture with Mario that I can send to you guys.
Sure.
If you want us to put it on, we absolutely can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And Anthony, was really very nice, and kind of, step back and let Mario sort of, have all the fun. But it was great to meet them. I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to meet him because I just really didn't like him as a chef, and had a lot of respect for him, and all the places that he has been to, and all of the his passion was. I don't think that there's another chef that has quite the same passion that Anthony Bourdain did, and yeah, I really do feel that I was lucky to have been able to meet him, although it was very brief, but just to have had that experience.
I'm curious, because if I was in the area, I would want to do this for you. Has anybody approached you, or have you thought about producing video content, or perhaps doing a show of your own, or maybe has somebody approached you about? Because I mean, again, you're a niche within a niche, so I mean, it's something that could be very interesting for a show. You have two people that that got together, from Chicago, moved to a separate state, something very unique, and there's something to be said. I mean, there's about 1,000 networks that you could be on. So I mean, I'm very curious if anybody's ever approached you, or if you have ever thought yourselves about maybe producing content and putting it out there in that kind of style.
We both work 70 hours a week.
Fair enough.
However, we did kind of like a promo. Was it a promo? Just like a potential.
We talked to somebody about a reality TV show.
Okay.
It's bananas around here.
Fair enough.
It's crazy to see what we do on the daily
How
here.
People get into it, how people get affected, how our lives are complete chaos.
Even just personally, us, being married and being kind of polar opposite chefs. Lola has
I love science and
she
math,
loves science,
and I went to Le Cordon Bleu, and I graduated top of my class.
degree, and she's all fancy. And I'm self-taught. I, just was the horror kid that wanted to draw monsters and started decorating cakes. And
she's really cool, and I'm a nerd, and we spend 24 hours a day together.
So
That's
it's an interesting dynamic a lot of the times. Sometimes we throw chocolate at each other in the kitchen, but
who doesn't do
that?
that?
We have a dean of student services working for us. We have an architect working for us. We have a pet sitter working for us. We have a Montessori school teacher working here, and Riley. And we have a 60-pound puppy, and we work all the time, and our lives are complete chaos, but sometimes it's a little bit of fun.
Just sometimes. Just sometimes. No. And I'm with Chris, man. I got an associate's degree from Elgin Community College and a can-do attitude. So I'm not highly educated either. I'm the least educated among all of our friend group, which is so interesting. No, that's awesome. It's awesome that you got different styles that come together. I mean, that's what makes magic happen. And yeah, there may be some friction, but it's definitely a cooler thing. Now, I'm curious though too. Just a thought that came into my head, because maybe I'm thinking about it. Have you been approached to do weddings and things of that nature, or maybe specialty events and everything else? And what are some fun stories from that? So I'm actually a little curious about that.
In general, if you want, and I will preface this by saying right now we're not taking custom orders because we're exuberantly busy in the shop. Exuberantly busy.
That's a word.
That's how busy we are.
That is a word.
Thanks.
That's busy.
It's got a lot of words in it. A lot of words.
a lot of syllables.
A lot of words in that one. A lot of words in that word. If you want a weird cake, if you want a cake that's crazy, if you want a cake that's bleeding, if you want a cake that's what nobody else will make for you, we have written the weirdest things on top of cakes.
Ooh.
Then people come to us. I think maybe the best wedding cake was
that was a divorce cake.
Oh, we did have a good divorce cake.
We had a divorce cake.
Oh, you were telling that story. I'm not.
Please.
We are not going to let that go out of bounds.
A divorce cake. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Okay, please tell that one.
It was a 3-tiered, beautiful wedding cake with buttercream swag, roses, just really, really lovely. And then cut completely in half from top to bottom with a sign on the front that says, "Wife goes on." And it has been also probably one of our most requested cakes. And interestingly enough, the lady that I made it for, I hired her daughter, and now she's my little sous chef.
Oh,
Everybody's in the family here.
Yeah.
That's such a great story.
The divorce bringing people together since 2022.
Oh yeah,
People
love that cake.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, so you know what? But now that we're on the topic and everything else, I want to hear about some of the weird, requests and weird shit, and some of the great. Those are fun stories. So I want to hear about some of those, of the weird requests and stuff that maybe even you went. Oh well, that's new. That's different. We have
that. That happens pretty much on the daily here.
You want what?
Huh? People don't understand. Like they see these cool cakes, but they really don't quite understand everything that goes into like creating something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they think, this has got to be something that you can do. And most things we can, but there have been a couple where we've even been like scratching our heads. Like,
we had a pharmaceutical rep who requested a cirrhotic liver cake. And he took them to different doctors' offices and brought them to the staff and sold a crap ton of medical.
This cake had a distended belly, okay? So it had this big giant belly, and then we had an opening in it with messed up cirrhotic gross liver in there. Like, we actually shaped a little cake ball as a liver in there. Dyed it green, put all kinds of pus and veins on it. Inside this cake with this giant belly and a belly button sticking out and all kinds of grossness. He'd order those.
We sold a bunch of them.
It's like spooky swirls, sponsored by Lexapro.
Yeah. We had a dentist who came in and ordered. If you guys are familiar with the Rankin Bass classics for the holidays, Rudolph and Bumble and so Bumble is the abominable snowman. We had a dentist come in and order 8 heads of Bumble because he wanted to bring them to the dentist so they could pull out their teeth.
The teeth in there and his mouth open, and they have pictures of Dennis, prying the marshmallow teeth out of Bumble.
We had the liver transplant cake. Somebody had a liver transplant. We had one good one and the old one being taken away.
There was a mastectomy cake.
Ooh.
We
mastectomy or vasectomy?
No, mastectomy.
Thank God.
So it was Tata to the Tatas. And we made a big,
what one does.
Boob cake.
I think though, and I'll finish it here with the most out of control, ridiculous request that we've ever gotten that we still joke about all the time.
I'm excited. Can't wait.
Was Ghost Ship. Have you ever seen the movie Ghost Ship?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh no.
Okay. So the guy wanted the ghost ship created. Wanted all of the people, put onto those ships
that were on the ship,
and wanted it was an anniversary cake, so he wanted himself and his wife put onto the cake, and then he wanted us to rig it so that with the touch of a button or the pull of a string, everybody could be cut in half on the deck. And we're like, that's really expensive. And he's like, can't you just pipe a buttercream on there and make it happen? No.
Can't you put a butter?
I would love to have everybody on the ghost ship chopped in half.
That would be one hell of a
live
cake.
action,
making that actually happen with
how about that?
Buttercream figures is
the pandemic happened and we had to close down our store, and so we didn't have to do it.
Oh, perfect.
Well, there you go.
That is some timing.
That's what happened.
You know what? It's so funny too. Because I as soon as you said ghost ship, I'm like, I know where this is going.
The one scene.
Right?
The one scene.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah, everyone knows that scene.
The only scene.
It's funny.
So we still haven't conquered that one yet.
No, I got you. So I was so I'm curious that too, because you covered it a little bit, but what is, say for instance that we did want some type of specialty wedding cake or whatever, or I'm throwing this out there, which I may or may not request. Maybe see a Jack and Sally cake for a wedding. Walk us through the process of what it takes to actually do that, because I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, the almost the behind the scenes of it and how much work it takes to actually do that. You mentioned it briefly, but I kind of want to go into what it really takes to make something that is very specialized and can be big enough to handle a wedding of 100 people or 80 people. I'm very, obviously not everybody's going to get this cake, but I'm very curious on what that process looks like, so you can kind of, our audience can kind of get an idea.
With Jack and Sally, we actually do a lot of baby shower cakes, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
So a lot of 3-tiered, very large baby shower cakes. Our little nightmare. But for any 3-tiered cake, for any of those large cakes, you want a substantial, something really impressive to share with your friends.
I think the tiered cakes are a lot easier than like the sculpted 3D cakes.
But either way, you're looking at, we make everything from scratch. So we're making your cake from scratch. We're making the buttercream from scratch. We're making the jam that's in the cake from scratch. All of that. That takes a long time. We're hand decorating flowers. We're like hand piping intricate designs. You have to make the sugar cookies that are going to go on the cake to decorate it. You have to make the macaroons that are going to go on the cake.
The fondant pieces, those generally take like a couple of days to sit, and otherwise they're still bendable, pliable. So
she's done a maybe it's a stretch, but maybe you've seen steel magnolias.
Yes, I have.
Magnolias.
I have. I have.
We make red velvet armadillo cakes.
I've made a couple of the red velvet armadillos, and
just for an armadillo cake to serve 100 guests, we'll say, is going to actually start to finish take her 14 hours of time.
Oh.
And that does not even include, like the ingredients and the stuff that is being used in a cake. That's just her time, 14 hours, because everything is done by hand.
But that's the labor of that. How much is it that much different from a total perspective? Are we talking about the difference between 14 for labor and then like 20 to let things settle? If you need to let fondant, rest for a bit,
right.
Is that like maybe 20 hours?
It's,
you know what, the fondant that has to kind of sit is like if you were to sculpt little pieces or little accessories, I think the only thing that he had were the ears that kind of had to sit. We put them on wires so that they could go in.
But things like that have to sit for 3 or 4 days to dry before you can even use them.
To dry that, but we basically just like rolled out a huge piece, put the pattern on it, and then like laid it over the body. Tried to shape it so it's kind of like
armadillo's awesome.
Timing thing.
Anyway, lots of work, and custom cakes take lots of work and lots of time.
They do.
We want to bring them back. We have fun doing them.
Oh, absolutely. And on a regular basis, how many baked goods are you making for the actual bakery itself? Just, on a regular day-to-day basis, how many baked goods are you making?
50 cinnamon buns, 10 loaves of focaccia.
Like I think he's talking about the variety of different things.
How many different things are in our store right now?
Yeah, they're sitting in a bakery.
Mm-hmm. You want to come and see?
Yes.
Sure,
yes. Absolutely. We're gonna go. We're gonna go live. It's gonna get crazy.
Field trip.
Field trip.
I can't hardly hear you, but here is our cinnamon bun case, which is always full of cinnamon buns, sticky buns. I don't know if you can see very well.
We can.
Oh, turn the light on. There's our kitchen with the bats.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, there's Scream.
There's Ghostface.
Jason!
There's Jason.
Jason's over here. This is Jason from episode 5 with his rib cages. Mummies. Ooh, that's a cupcake we call Stay Puffed. These devil's food.
Awesome.
A giant marshmallow to 10. They saw Jason. Over here we have Han Solo and Carbonite.
Oh,
there's our red cupcakes. The chocolate one over there with the fangs is our cupcake for Ratu.
Oh my
God. Somebody had to do it.
Mark, can you buy us plane tickets to Arizona?
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Come.
That is awesome.
This
look
is
at
our
that.
cookies and Scream.
I want it. I want them all.
We sell, like muffins. We sell our own flour blend. We actually have that. We sell our own coffee, as you guys know.
Yep,
Which
yep,
I
yep.
love and fully recommend. Anybody who's in the area, their coffee is amazing.
Oh, and we know who that is.
Yeah.
The
This is our
Salacious Crumb.
Salacious Crumb. He was actually made for us in Spooky Swirls colors. He's custom. Over here in our fridge, nothing too scary. Death Wish brownies.
Hold on. Is that made from Death Wish coffee?
Yeah.
What?
We
Get
are
outta
the
here.
only approved vendors of Death Wish coffee in Arizona. So you
Get
can come in
outta
and
here.
buy a cup.
No
Come
kidding.
in, buy
Holy
it back.
shit.
We sell it brewed, and I also make Death Wish brownies. We use Death Wish in our terror miso sometimes.
Oh my
No
god,
kidding.
that sounds
And
amazing.
Oh,
I saw Slimer there in the corner.
Full cookie table is. Oh, I'll show you Slimer.
Absolutely.
I have some Gilead Deets, shortbread
That is
houses,
so awesome.
Nice.
a little Beetlejuice action, and they want to see slime. Oh,
Wow.
this is the scariest cookie we've ever made.
Oh, let me see.
Can you tell?
Absolutely.
That is Art the Clown. And then, probably the #1 selfie spot in Chandler, Arizona is our Slimer.
Of course. Absolutely.
Hangs out with
Jack.
Jack.
There's the man.
And we have the bottom half of Swamp Thing.
Ooh,
Ooh,
Wait,
very
nope,
nice.
there he is.
that's awesome.
Here. Did you see our Wonka bars? They're not very
no.
slippery, but
Holy crap.
Look at that. Wow.
production used Wonka bars from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
No kidding.
Oh, we showed them those.
Yeah, we
guys.
showed
See all that?
saw all that. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's so cool.
So,
They
we bake a few things.
Man, I need to get to Arizona. I
It
don't know
smells
how.
really
I need to get to
good in here in the
Arizona.
morning, you guys.
I believe it. That's fantastic.
We will feed you.
So much good food I just saw right there, and I want it all. I want it
Yeah,
all.
I know he wants it all, dude. That's
Unless we
fantastic.
open a Spookies in Chicago.
We may just come to you.
We may open a Spookies up there. I
Yeah,
mean,
that'll be really. God, that'd be awesome.
You have no idea.
We would hang out there.
How
a
many
lot.
hours do you want to work a week?
I don't ever want to sleep.
Well, keep having that Death Wish coffee. You'll be fine.
I was gonna say, just pop a
That was-
brownie.
Whoa!
Yeah, you'll be
That's right.
supercharged.
Boom.
Ah,
You'll be
ready to
supercharged.
go.
Back in the kitchen.
Yeah, ready to go. So Zach, any questions that you had that you wanted to bring up?
So, okay, this is just a random question because you are the only bakers or pastry makers or culinary people I've ever talked to. What does it take to bake a person inside a cake? So, like, those, like, jokes from the movies or whatever. Not actually cook I mean, if you want to cook a person, I won't say anything, all right? That'll just be between you and me. But besides the point, like, say Mark was getting married and I theoretically wanted to be inside the cake, and when everything happens, I just jump out and punch him in the face and run like a little weasel. Like, what would it take to do something hilarious like that?
I think Zach wants to reenact Adam's Family 2, family values for the bachelor party. Lurch, did you cook that cake?
You're gonna need a really big hollow box and a lot of buttercream.
A lot of buttercream. Yeah. And baking you into the cake. I mean, once the screaming stops, it's a lot of work for that.
From there, it's no problem.
Yeah.
So once you're dead, it's no issue. Once you're not living anymore, it's not that hard. Some blowtorch and some can-do
my
attitude.
problem.
Yeah, it's whoever delivers this, it will be their problem. So, awesome. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean, that's
I have a
just...
question.
Oh, what's up?
Absolutely.
Zach, can I see your face?
Yeah, can you see it?
Exactly. There he is.
What? That's half of what Zach looks like. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, nice. That's not what I thought he looked like at all.
Oh, you thought you saw Zach in the beginning.
No, I didn't. Okay.
Oh, okay. I've just been invisible this whole time. Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I told you that they were handsome, but now you can
Stop
see.
it. Stop it.
Flatter me.
They,
Thank you.
That's great. Well,
Although, Mark, I'm clearly the
It's
better
that
looking
horror
one.
People are nice thing.
yeah, exactly. So wonderful. So normally what I do is I wrap up the podcast with a question of the podcast where we have something fun to discuss. And I think that this is, and I actually don't even know the answer to this, so this might be a tougher one. We have a tradition on the podcast that our guests get to answer first, but if they choose, they can pass, and we can go around the circle, and then we can come back. And if they can't come up with an answer, they have that right and privilege. So, because you have such a niche and everything else, what is one niche of a business or activity or event that within the horror community that you would like to see that has not been done yet?
Baby blending.
You got to put a little bit more detail on that. I gotta hear about
If
this.
we're just talking about blending babies, then fine with me. I hate kids. I hate babies, children in general. The less of them there are, the better. Get rid of them.
Jesus, it got real dark here.
I grew up with 3 baby sisters. I could say that.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, just to add a little bit more clarity, but I definitely want to come back to this. Is what are some events that you just within the horror community that you've just not seen, or businesses that you would like to see that haven't been created, or events or activities, things that the horror community quite hasn't done yet, but you're like, what, I think that'd be really cool if they did.
I'll take it first. More crossovers.
Yeah.
I want to see like a spooky knitting store, and I want to see like a horror themed grocery store. I want to see
a spooky bakery in a horror themed grocery store,
horror themed
clothing store,
restaurants. We've opened the door to bakeries. It works.
Yeah.
Make some spooky food and get out there and do it because people are ready for it.
That's awesome. So definitely on that food genre. Zach, what are some business that you haven't really seen be done within the horror community that you would like to see?
I generally don't know what to say for this one. I honestly don't know. Just, I don't know, make me a soap that looks like blood so I could say I'm bathing in blood or something. Yeah, bathing in blood. That's awesome. Let's go with that.
Soap things. I'd like to see, I think for me, I think one of the coolest things that I want to do is do a horror themed club or a concert venue, and have an opportunity for artists, because we've met a lot of people, like a lot of really, really cool artists, like one of our favorite guys, Corey Clark, aka Poltergeist OD. He is a horror hip-hop artist from Canada, and he's amazingly talented, and there's a lot of cool bands that like are horror themed and horror niched, so it would be really cool to have them have a place to go and actually perform and do things. So that was one of the biggest things. So thank go ahead. What was that?
Oh no, I said that's an amazing concept. I would go to any show at a horror themed venue.
Yeah, and I know Zach would too.
Damn right.
Yeah, which is fantastic. So, all right. So, thank you both so much. This is your opportunity to look directly into camera and tell them where all the nice people can find you, all of your social medias, and where they can see all of your wonderful creations and concoctions and spooky delights, dessert delights. They can find all the things about you, and essentially just a media plug opportunity for you. So go ahead and take it away.
Come and be surprised and delighted at Spooky Swirls in Chandler, Arizona.
3029 North Alma School Road. That is Chandler.
You can see me on Food Network on Halloween Baking Championship all through September, starting in September, and every day at the Museum and Bakery in Chandler, Friday through Sunday, 9 to 3.
Facebook is Spookies Swirls. Instagram is Spookies_swirls.
And people are doing TikToks about us, but we have no idea.
We're still trying to figure out had a TikTok, but
But they're good.
coming soon.
Coming soon. Thank you both so much. And of course, if you all like this podcast, if you could be so awesome to stab that like button, smash that subscribe, and click that little dingy bell to be notified every time we drop amazing content right here on MHN. And, of course, you can find us on all social medias, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Slasher, the application for all things horror. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on the Nightmares Podcast.